I've officially signed as an MMA fighter to the fastest growing sports league in the world, the PFL.
Are in uproar after Jake Paul dropped a bombshell about quitting his boxing career. His announcement has sent shockwaves through the sport, as his already shaky reputation, built on controversial and scripted fights, has now completely unraveled. With credibility at an all-time low, Paul's departure has left sponsors distancing themselves, unwilling to associate with him. His once promising career appears to have nosedived into oblivion.
Disrupted boxing, and now it's time to disrupt MMA. I know this is such a tough sport, and it's not going to be easy.
With no credibility and a thirst for money, Jake Paul's next move is clear. Switch to MMA. Why stay in boxing, where skill is expected, when he can join PFL, a league still finding its footing, and capitalize on its lower standards? It's the perfect plan for Jake to cash in without the pressure of real competition.
That these champions get $1 million when they win. Join the PFL, baby.
Jake Paul is riding the MMA wave, cashing in on a fat paycheck while damaging a sport still finding its footing. Classic Jake, ruining everything he touches before it even establishes itself.
Nikisa an hour ago. The point is, I talked to Nikisa an hour ago. Two things are happening. Jake is super successful in boxing. Whether you love Jake or hate Jake, we can all agree that guy's the man when it comes to generating attention and revenue and viewership with his boxing career. And it's more successful than it was when we signed him on the boxing side. That has delayed MMA. That's delayed MMA because he's killing it on the boxing side. So will MMA happen with PFL? Yes, it will. Has it been delayed? Yes, it has. My guess is fall of this year, but I don't think it's going to be before then. It's got so many things going on in boxing.
Yeah, it's kind of what they told us as well. We did a little round table with him last month, and Nikisa and Amanda in Orlando, and he was basically like, listen, I got a box. So it could be maybe later this year, maybe 2026, but he's planning on doing it. At least that's
he's
what
going to look. He's going to do it. And by the way, every time you've asked me or Nikisa or Jake, we've probably given similar answers without coordinating. We thought for sure it was 2024 fall.
Jake Paul's move to MMA makes perfect sense. Money. The PFL handed him a multi-million-dollar deal, not for his skills, but for his massive Instagram following. Even PFL founder Don Davis admitted Jake's real value is as a walking billboard. Forget about being a fighter. Jake's role is to generate views, not victories. It's hard not to laugh when the league signing him seems more excited about his ability to create buzz than his actual fighting abilities. Clearly, it's all about the spectacle, not the sport.
And not only am I an MMA fighter now officially signed to an organization, but I am also use my platform to market PFL fighters and introduce them to my fans worldwide. I personally will be deeply involved in making sure that the PFL is the best place in the world.
Is he leaving because he can't cut it in boxing? The answer is as clear as his non-existent footwork. By switching to MMA, he's avoiding the heat of real competition.
Is absolutely the most lit thing in the world! Alright, I need to calm down. But seriously, I'm excited.
In boxing, respect is earned by climbing the ranks and facing top-tier opponents. But Jake Paul has always preferred playing the part over proving himself. MMA, with its lower expectations for crossover stars, provides the perfect stage for Jake to continue pretending to be a real athlete while dodging serious competition.
Use my platform to market PFL fighters and introduce them to my fans worldwide. I personally will be deeply involved in making sure that the PFL is the best place in the world.
Now, Jake Paul is taking his circus to MMA under the PFL banner, proving once again that he's more businessman than fighter. This move has nothing to do with athletic ambition. It's all about his bank account. Jake reportedly makes over $30 million a year from his various ventures.
If that's not balls, then I don't know.
It's hard to respect someone who treats combat sports as a personal cash grab. Boxing experts are right. Jake Paul is more businessman than boxer. Every move he makes is carefully calculated for profit, not for taking on real challenges.
Taking this seriously, okay? Yes, I still want to become a world champion in boxing.
Even the PFL knows exactly what they're getting. Founder Don Davis called Jake Paul a marketing genius, which is a polite way of saying they hired him for clout, not talent. They're not wrong. Jake's move to MMA isn't about proving himself. It's about cashing in on his social media fame.
Love Jake or hate Jake, we can all agree that guy's the man when it comes to generating attention and revenue and viewers.
Let's not overlook the timeline. Jake Paul's MMA debut was supposed to happen in 2024, but now it's been pushed to late 2025. Jake claims it's due to boxing commitments, but let's be honest, there's nothing on his schedule except avoiding ranked opponents and protecting his ego. Critics see it for what it is. Jake Paul running from the mounting pressure in boxing and seeking refuge in MMA, where the expectations are lower and the competition less intense.
When we signed him on the boxing side, that has delayed MMA. That's delayed MMA. So will MMA happen with PFL? Yes, it will. Has it been delayed? Yes, it has. My guess is fall of this year.
Let's break this down. Jake Paul has been parading around like the savior of boxing, yet most of his opponents have had no business stepping into the ring. Tyron Woodley, a retired UFC fighter, had zero boxing credentials. Ben Askren couldn't outbox a toddler. Nate Robinson, a former basketball player, was obviously no boxer. And let's not forget his one legitimate boxing match against Tommy Fury in 2023, the first time he faced someone who actually knew how to box, and he got exposed. Even Jake's own fans are roasting him, pointing out that he's leaving boxing without ever actually fighting a boxer. It wouldn't be surprising if his first MMA fight is against a retired volleyball player. Now, Jake's off to the Professional Fighters League, PFL, where he can peddle the same shtick to a new crowd. But here's the kicker. His MMA debut isn't happening until fall 2025. That's nearly 2 years away, and in Jake's world, that probably means more hype videos and a new line of merch, not serious training. The delay? Jake claims it's due to ongoing boxing commitments. Commitments to what? Losing another fight? Experts aren't buying it. The real reason is simple. Jake is running from the mounting pressure of facing actual boxers. MMA offers him an escape hatch where he can play the new guy card while avoiding real accountability.
Advisor Nikisa Badarian is also joining as a co-founder of this new division for the PFL, and I'm pointing him the head of making everyone.
Jake Paul's entire boxing career has felt like a bad prank that dragged on too long. For years, he's dodged real competition like a pro. Oh wait, scratch that. He's no pro. Critics have called him out for cherry-picking opponents so carefully, it's like selecting a ripe avocado. Canelo Alvarez? No. A rematch with Anderson Silva? Dream on.
Matters. The opponent matters. Right? The opponent always matters. Jake is brilliant at picking opponents. So, of course it matters.
Instead of stepping up to fight real boxers, Jake Paul has spent his career hand-picking opponents he knows he can beat, or at least ones who won't embarrass him too much. And yet, the guy never stops running his mouth. It's almost ironic. All that talk, and the only thing louder than Jake's trash talk is the sound of him dodging real challenges. He disrupted boxing by becoming the first boxer to never actually face a boxer. Now, he's set to disrupt MMA by becoming the first MMA fighter to only fight retired professional football players. Boxing experts have had a field day roasting him, and it's easy to see why. Jake talks a big game, but refuses to face anyone with real credentials, basically the tagline of his career. He loves acting like a revolutionary in combat sports, but his actions scream cowardice louder than his YouTube thumbnails scream clickbait.
Means the best fighters fight the best fighters every single year, which is better for you. I'm bringing you the best fight.
Is there anyone more delusional than Jake Paul? No wonder he's ditching boxing for MMA. It's easier to rewrite the narrative in a different sport than face the harsh reality. Jake Paul isn't built for real boxing. When compared to actual fighters, the contrast is laughable. Legends like Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao were battling ranked opponents as teenagers, while Jake has crafted a career out of fighting retired athletes, basketball players, and MMA guys who've barely thrown a proper jab. His so-called boxing career is more about Instagram followers than meaningful wins, earning him the nickname social media boxer from the boxing world. He's not here for the grind, the sacrifice, or the glory that defines the sport. Instead, Jake's in it to cash checks, post highlight reels, and sell the illusion of greatness. Let's be honest, he's not the savior of boxing. He's its punchline.
Yeah, them dudes just using their YouTube status to come in boxing and make all this
Let's talk numbers, since Jake loves throwing them around. Sure, $5 million in pay-per-view sales in 2023 sounds impressive, until you realize it's all smoke and mirrors. It's not the sport they're paying for, it's the circus. People aren't buying tickets to see a legitimate fighter. They're buying tickets to watch Jake's ego get punched in the face. And yet, after all that money and all those headlines, Jake has never faced a ranked professional boxer, not one. 0. The second boxing started demanding actual legitimacy. Jake packed his bags and headed to MMA. Coincidence? Please.
Netflix on Friday night, Jake Paul, Mike Tyson.
Yes, I was. But what did I make of it? I think commercially and a business sense, I thought it was absolutely fantastic. Both men made a ton of money. So best luck to them. Congratulations. As far as the boxing fight, it wasn't a fight. It was a tip and tap. Don't hit me, I won't hit you. Circle the ring a little bit. Make it look good. That's all it was. So I don't really make too much of it.
If there's one fight that stripped away the illusion, it was Jake Paul's loss to Tommy Fury. That fight was a public unmasking. Fury exposed every flaw in Jake's game, from his sloppy footwork to his wild, laughable punches. Jake looked like an amateur pretending to be a pro. And let's not forget, Tommy Fury isn't even a top-tier boxer. He's a decent fighter, but not a world champion. Yet even that was enough to send Jake spiraling. Experts didn't hold back, calling his career a house of cards built on weak opponents and YouTube fame. For someone who claims to be changing the game, Jake's version of boxing looks more like a comedy skit than any real revolution. A sport built on grit, discipline, and respect. Fans are fed up, and experts are right to say Jake Paul isn't leading boxing. He's leaving the spotlight of real challenges. That's the legacy he's leaving behind. A trail of clickbait fights, overhyped pay-per-views, and a sport worse off for having entertained his antics.